Right, so this is the second episode of Drawing Rome, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm gonna go nuts. This is a pet project. This is something where I am going to endeavor to draw Rome in minute detail. And I'm talking about Rome about 100 AD, 150 AD, something like that. And we're going to use my normal style, my normal approach, which means right down into those details. It's going to be a Sistine Chapel-like effort for me. So it's going to take a long time, but I want the net result to be almost a definitive piece. I want people to be able to go, oh yes, Alyssa Faden drew Rome. You can use this as reference type of thing. I want it to be visually spectacular, but also I want it to be pretty accurate too. So this is something that I do as an exclusive to my patrons on Patreon. There's a certain tier on there where they can join us as I do this. It's entirely optional, but we actually do have Treebor, one of my backers today, with us, and I think we're going to have a second one. So you're definitely going to hear some voices in the background talking me through this as we go. Oh, here we go. We got Frog God Games, and apparently that's how I do it. So let's drag that window over there. So where did we leave this? Well, last time, and this looks like a little bit of a mess, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off some of my sketch layers, and we'll come back to those. I drew the shape of Rome, and I've got several references that I worked from. I have not yet come to the complete outside of the borders for this, but we will. I will obviously extend the Tiber out there, and likewise with roads. We drew originally all of the walls, and there are some sections where there's more of a fortification in place. I have all of that done, ready for these little sort of fortified areas to be populated. And of course we've got areas where there were going to be bridges and that type of thing. So that's done. Then I was like, okay, so where are my hills? So again, using my references, I sketched in our hill locations. And apparently I drew a little tiny building too, just as a proof of concept. So we drew our hills in. I don't know how much of the hills are going to show once we smother the whole thing with buildings, but at least we can get it done in the colouring and the shadowing area, so we have these nice undulations of buildings going on. So that they may serve as more of a background reference for later on. And then we sketched in our roads. And I'm probably going to make that actually a little bit fainter, both of these, because otherwise we're not going to be able to see what we're doing. So something like that. I'm running Pex. I assume that's you, Pex. So there are... It is indeed. It is indeed. So I'm going to actually... we will eventually get those roads drawn out to the edge of the map at some point. We don't need to worry about that now. So it's really, well, what comes next? And I think I might turn off the hills just for this purpose. Roads. I'm not going to draw my roads as hard lines. You know that about me at this point. I draw the buildings either side of the road. So it's more of a negative space creates the road. If I draw the roads and the buildings, it ends up being very heavy on let's call it ink. And it will look not only darker, visually more confusing to the eye, and it will actually start to look a little bit more modern, because you'll start to see strong sidewalks and things like that, and it starts to look almost a little bit fake. So I'm not going to do that, but they are my guides for drawing buildings either side, which brings us to where we're at right now. So the question is, what am I going to draw first? And for that, I'm going to actually, I'm going to bring up this map right here, and I'm going to take the transparency of it. I'm just going to bring this to the forefront. This is a wonderful map. And...
oh yeah, that is nice.
Right? It's a great reference, I think. This has been one of my main references for the wall shape. without a doubt. But I can also use it for the main locations of our key buildings. True story, by the way. The Campus Martius. Every time I've read a book about the Campus Martius, I always thought it was outside the walls for some reason. I just, but it's not. It's interior. I actually never knew where the Campus Martius was located. I always thought it was like over here somewhere, just outside the city. So this is a good map. So we'll definitely be making reference to this. The roads on this one was a big sort of key point too. And of course we've got our amphitheater in here. So this I think I'm going to be using as reference today. I am tempted to actually draw this area and get our amphitheater in, and then surround it with other buildings to kind of dial in the approach. Gives us a good little sort of swatch on this map. And talking of which, don't tell me I close this down. Okay, I'm gonna have to open this back up again. I found this great resource. Well, I think we all know this. This here. So this is a 3D model of Rome.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you're familiar. Yeah.
I think we talked about it on Facebook a little bit.
Yeah, we did, right? Exactly. In fact, you might have been one that made me aware of this.
It was either I made you aware or you made me aware, one way or the other.
I think we were both going, Muppet style.
Pretty much.
Can you imagine, like, being able to sort of put on a virtual headset and walking these streets? Wouldn't that be incredible?
Yeah.
I'm hoping that that's the next step. I'm hoping that that's the type of thing where we're going with that type of technology, because you won't see me again.
I know someone's working on something like that for Pompeii.
What, there is something like this for Pompeii?
They're working on doing something like that.
Ooh, that would be nice.
Virtual 3D tour of Pompeii with, recreated it as original as they can.
That would be
with
awesome.
With people, CGI people.
Yeah, so it's I know this is kind of a little bit of a segue. So there are some really great computer games out there that I play, and there was actually one fairly recently, which is based upon you like running just a little medieval village. But you can just walk around this medieval village and you can build things and everything. But it's a very slow-paced game because it's really just about living, just live, And I would love something like that for Rome, where it's not combat-based. Just walk around, enjoy the ambience,
Yeah, you talking medieval dynasty?
I am.
Is that
actually? Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I played a little bit of that, so I know what you're saying.
Yeah, it's the type of thing where you just sort of stand there in like someone's village, going, this looks pretty good. Just soaking up the details of it, I would love to do that with something like Pompeii or Rome itself. That would be just nuts. It'd be just nuts. But with this,
my hope is that Pompeii will be successful enough that they'll do something similar with Rome. So eventually, we might get to see what you're talking about.
That'd be pretty epic. That would be pretty epic. I don't need a full game. I don't need to be able to sort of fight or anything like that. I don't need a character that levels up. Just let me walk around the streets with real people and activity going on.
They might have game elements added to it eventually, but their intention is to be, a 3D animated representation of what it's like to walk around the cities of Rome back in the day. And same with Pompeii, or at least with Pompeii. Hopefully they'll work on Rome project too.
You won't see much more out of me if they ever do that.
You'd just be virtually living there, huh?
Yeah, Jack's gonna have to feed me in the real life. The reason why I've got this up is I do think these are incredible references here. Just really honestly for the surrounding area more than anything else. I mean, I can draw this, and I think I am going to draw this today, but I kind of want to also see just what's around it. And while it's not top down, we can do this top down. So like if we've got, like, I'm just going to drag that off to one side for a moment. If we zoom in on this area, drag him over here, then kind of bring this back into shot. Let's make that a little smaller. I guess I would have to line up some of these buildings here to sort of figure out what angle these are on, and if I need to rotate my map, I will. But I'm hoping that our blank areas around this, we'll be able to use this for inspiration on it. Because, I mean, I see like a little gate here. Or an arch, I should say, right above the road. I want to catch it. The aqueduct that's right here. I don't think that's even represented on this particular map. It might be this.
Yeah, it might be that. That's the only thing.
It is. I think it is that, isn't it?
You see the map key? I can't see the map key. It should say what that represents somewhere in the map key.
They don't do map keys back then. Map keys were out of vogue, apparently. Not a map key. Yeah, there's no map key in this one.
How are you supposed to know what all the symbology is?
That has to be an aqueduct, right? I mean, I'm seeing it.
I think so. I mean, it seems to follow the proper line in relation to the Coliseum.
Maybe I should actually draw that on. I'm going to just sketch that on. That is definitely our aqueduct. And then, yeah, we'll use those other visual references. And we'll go from there. Let's start drawing.
Aren't there 5 people at the same level I'm at as a Patreon? So there's like 4 people missing out on this?
Yep. But, I mean, it's a Saturday morning. Not everyone could spare the time. One of them is actually Gallant Knight Games, and he's running Gallant Knight Games, so he's going to be short on time. And then there's Guppy. Guppy's a really great friend, but Guppy just supports the channel versus actually wanting to get anything out of it, if that makes any sense. But yep, he's missing out. I think with Guppy, if I did a little bit later at night, I might be able to pin the guy down, and then we'll be drinking whiskey. That could be definitely a different... and maybe we'll do that. And maybe we'll do that in the future. We'll hang out, we'll drink whiskey, and we'll draw them.
Yeah, it's not like you have to stay to a fixed time.
Let's draw this in grey so it doesn't overpower everything.
I don't know if she's seen it or not. I mean, she's a Romophile, so she's probably seen it.
What's that?
The Coliseum and the Theater of Pompey. Have you ever seen the Theater of Pompey?
No.
She doesn't.
Now, if I have, it would. I should actually expound upon that a little bit. Only in photographic format. I have never, ever, ever actually been to Rome or just Italy in general.
Well, apparently she's asking because she came across a good online visual of it.
Ooh, get that sent across. Maybe you could even Discord it or something. But yeah, send that across. I would love to see it.
Yeah, she says it's a 3D visual representation of it in 5080.
It was 55 BC is what it was called.
55 BC.
Okay. So
I guess she'll share it with me on Facebook, and I'll get you a link eventually.
I'm trying to sort of figure out if there are other aqueducts on here that I should try and capture now, or if I should just not worry about it until we get to those sections of the city, and it might be that.
Yeah. I think there's one more.
There's right here. I'm seeing one. I can't actually see where it ends.
Look on the 3D one, see for comparison. See if it shows you better. You know, it's on the other side of the river. So.
I guess if we can find the stadium in here.
Alright. Really? Hey, Alyssa, the reason that theater came to her attention is because on the wall in there's a map of Rome.
There was a map of Rome built on a Roman wall in 200 AD. We still have scraps of. It was carved in marble and mounted.
Carved in marble and well, all right, and it's in that link I'm going to be sending her?
No, I just sent you the 3D image.
All right, well, you probably want to see that link too, if you can get it.
Now, isn't that the act? This is kind of interesting, actually. I'm seeing some differences here. Isn't that the marble map of Rome that they only have fragments of now?
Yeah.
But it was like a complete map of Rome, every single building and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, sounds
Yeah,
like the
another
same
one.
thing. Yeah, she knows about that one. All right, I'll go over to my other computer and send you that other link on Facebook so you can look at it later.
Alright, that is that. I'm gonna rotate this to be on a similar sort of orientation here. And let's bring back up our reference, which is this one. In fact, you can't actually click on those, which is really unfortunate. What does this do? Nothing. Oh, maybe you have to log in. Okay, maybe I'll register on this site separately. But this is this. Okay, so that, and then we've got this here. Interesting that there's a different shape going on. Okay. But I think things like this building here, for example, these shapes, I want to capture those. I'm very curious about the fact that we've got this here and not here, but I think we could draw that because this map is completely blank. Curious about this shape. I mean, I believe I'm looking at the correct section of the city here. Yeah, the Campus Martius. This is definitely the right area.
Well, I think that's what she's using. The same one else has the 3D.
Alright, I think we just need to bite the bullet on this. Let's get our rotation back. I feel like I want to jump into this area first. I'm going to drop this down on its opacity to more like that. I think I'm going to bring my roads back. Let's make them a little bit stronger. Just so we can see where we're drawing. Let's get back to our visual reference. And let's just jump in. Let's get at least the Coliseum drawn. Feel good about it. And maybe we'll pick up on some of the details around the Coliseum. I think we're going to start there. If we can get this section done today. Mwah. Let's just zoom out a little. I don't want to get too I mean, I could just draw the Colosseum to start there. But I'm kind of wondering about the orientation of this map relative to these.
It actually has a reference to one. Yeah, that one's
I
already.
wonder if I should take this. Okay, so this... I think this is... Oh, I see. This... I think it's this. Yeah. Yeah, so this angle is not far off. This angle is not far off. Yeah, there we got Circus Maximus right here. And it actually looks like... oh yeah, there's our aqueduct. There's our aqueduct sneaking through. Yeah, this is a good one. Okay, let's actually take that. Let's paste that in there. Whoa, little tiny image. We're going to use this as reference. Because the angle between these two is actually pretty close.
All right, and I'm putting that image in Discord.
Okay, right, then, you know what? I'm going to actually bring up Discord right now. We're going to take a look. Oh, yeah, that's a nice image. Let's actually, let's grab that one.
Yeah, and then there's those two links are resources on Rome that my wife wanted me to make sure you were aware of.
Thank you. I'm gonna actually open them and save them right now. This is nice. We could definitely capture this.
And that's in Rome?
Look at this beautiful seating here and the gardens.
Yeah.
That's gonna be so much fun.
Well, she said she was doing around that BC period.
Yeah.
That's when it was built.
Oh,
I thought she was doing 100 to 150 AD.
Oh, well, that was built in 55 BC and was still around back then.
Oh.
They came.
So this was built in 55 BC, so that's probably still there in Rome then.
I think we could draw it. I think we can draw it, unless I see some reference that indicates that it was knocked flat and something else was built there.
One of the links I gave her has a 4th century detailing of all the buildings because of Rome at that time.
4th century AD.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, one of those 2 links has a detailed description of Rome in 4th century AD, in particular the buildings.
All right, perfect. Then I will definitely read through that.
Can you tell my wife used to be a research librarian for the Medical University of South Carolina?
We're forming a great team right now. That's all I can say.
Well, that's why she's so good at researching. She was the floor manager there for the last 3 years of the 5 years you're there? Yeah.
I was actually
And actually buildings manager on the weekends.
I was responsible for 3 years.
Yep.
We had manuscripts that went back to Rome.
Were they Roman manuscripts that went back to Rome or just same time frame?
Roman manuscripts that went back to Rome were in the Warren Library.
Oh, and you had access to that, right? Yeah, the Waring Library is there in Charleston, and they had access to actual Roman manuscripts.
Wow.
People donated lots of stuff, but over here.
All right, this is gonna be fun. This is gonna be interesting, actually. So I've got a plan of the Colosseum. I'm going to use this. I'm actually going to take this literally, bring it into position, and that will give us our outside oval shape. But we've got a scale. I'm going to compare that scale with the scale I sketched down last time, and to see if we're in alignment once we've got this drawn. So I'm just gonna jump into this. How could you not love the Romans? I mean, holy crapola. Alright.
Yeah. I wish we still invested in making our buildings look beautiful like they did.
Right? It's like, and I think it's fair to say that 18th, 19th century, even early 20th century, they did. Everything was grand, right? Big pillars, huge details going on. Nowadays, we don't. I mean, I know there's a certain practicality to that, but these were just incredible to look at.
That's why I love my house here in St. Louis. You know, it was built in 1893, so they tried to give it that grand look on the front end. I mean, the rest of it's ugly red brick, but the facing of my house, looks like a rich person lived here in 1893.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've got a 1952 house, so it's post-war. Just throw a house up on the top of the hill, good to go. Off we go to the next one.
My house in Arizona is the only one I bought that wasn't at least 80 years old. It was built in 78.
What's the best way of me doing this?
Yeah, if I remember to do it later, I'll put a picture of the front of my house here in St. Louis in the photos channel on Discord. So you can
all right, cool. I'd actually like to see that. Yeah.
Yeah, because like the left side of it looks kind of like a castle tower, some type of fortified tower. Which is one of the reasons why I looked at it as hard as I did. I was like, it's just too cool not to try to buy.
That's really cool. I love houses that have character like that. I'm gonna have to.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I love St. Louis, because a lot of these houses from the 1890s are still here. So St. Louis has, and if you haven't ever seen it, pull up the Basilica, the St. Louis Basilica, and see how that thing looks. That's like 4 or 5 blocks away from me, maybe 6. but it's a massive Catholic cathedral, and it's gorgeous.
Okay, well now you've got me curious.
Yeah, just Google the St. Louis Basilica, and it should be what comes up.
St. Louis, but is this it?
Yes. That thing is massive. That thing is huge.
They don't do this type of thing nowadays, do they? Like, at all?
No, they don't. Look how big that thing is. Look at those tiny cars.
Nah, that's beautiful. And you know what gets me about this? It's the details, right? I mean, we build big buildings nowadays, but we don't do these details like this. I mean, every single little nook and cranny.
Exactly.
Yeah, I would love to draw that, actually.
And the inside's done in a similar way. I mean, you saw some of the images on the previous page of the inside. I mean, attention to detail everywhere.
Nuts.
It kills me. About 2 blocks away from me to the north is not a cathedral like that, but it's still a big old stone church from probably late 1800s. But it's gutted by fire. Nobody's going to restore it. It doesn't seem like it's a crime, a shame. Somebody with like Bill Gates should be going across the country and going, all right, I'm restoring that. That cannot be lost,
and that, I think, is the type of rich person I would be. Like, if I was just ridiculously loaded, I definitely would want to preserve buildings like that, without a doubt.
Oh yeah, if I won that 700 million Powerball last week or earlier this week, whatever the hell it was, yeah.
Yep.
I'd be looking at doing, using that to set up basically a charity of some kind with the express purpose of restoring buildings like that church I just mentioned here in the St. Louis area. Yeah, there's another one that's literally downtown near the Veterans Hospital. It's pretty much just the walls left, and it's still beautiful because the walls are pretty, and then it has the plant life growing in it with the vines and stuff. My wife says it still feels like a temple.
I am really confused about the way why did my oval selection do that? I don't know. This is so bizarre. Anyway, edit. Let's just do a stroke. Inside, it's kind of doing a weird, almost shadow effect with no. Like, why would it? That makes no sense. I'm gonna redo this. I don't know. That literally makes no sense. You're gonna go away. We're gonna do this again. I'm just doing a simple select. Don't mind me, Mr. Photoshop.
How they go on pyramids being engineering marvels? To me, this Coliseum is an engineering marvel.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Especially when you say, no, look, it did it again.
I mean, it's far more of an engineering marvel to me than the pyramid are. Because how they had the water to flood it and all that stuff. I mean, that's genius. I assume you're aware of how many caverns and tunnels they have underneath. And to have all that maintained structural integrity, it's an amazing building.
And there's occasionally I will watch like a history show, a documentary or something, where they start to actually go into the non-public areas of this thing, and I just start salivating. I mean, there's so much there that isn't public knowledge. It looks stunning. It's just a stunning piece.
Yeah, it is. It's a mind-blowing building.
Can you imagine being from those times and seeing that for the first time? How just breathtaking that would be.
It's breathtaking now.
Right, right. Yeah, and even by our modern standards too.
Yeah, it probably seriously blew people's minds back in the day. especially if they came from somewhere rural where all they were, used to is just farmlands and farm buildings and all that, and then come into the city and see something like that. Yeah, it probably blew their minds in a big way.
In fact, I had a picture of the Coliseum up here. Yeah, so this, with all of the statues and everything too. Town above, and have the flags and everything up there. Fully painted. I mean, it'd just be nuts. Is it... I mean, I'm not sure we get many buildings in the modern sense where they have that same level of wonder to them. Unless we're just talking like the ones in Dubai, typically, where they're just throwing away money.
Yeah, but even then, they're not anywhere near this fancy.
No.
I mean, they're aesthetically pleasing overall, but they don't have the level of detail like this does.
Oh, no.
Today, that's a waste of time and money. No, it's not.
Right, one of the reasons why I'm being a little bit fastidious on this is actually going to be our first building to scale. And I want to make sure then everything we draw beyond that is of the correct scale.
So absolutely critical. Understood.
This is almost going to be like our anchor point in so many ways.
To me, it makes sense because, as we've been talking, that's one hell of a building. So it makes sense to make it your anchor point too.
Now, it's interesting, actually. So this is the actual Colosseum to scale, an actual plan of it. So we know that the dimensions and the shape of this are 100% accurate. And they actually don't match the old map. But I guess, why would it? It's an old freaking map.
Yeah, they weren't as precise. The precision, that one there has way more precision.
So I guess if we just get it approximately right here, so it's going to look something like that scale-wise. Let's turn you off. And I'm gonna grab... Let's turn you... No, let's keep you. Let's turn you off just temporarily. I want to grab from my sketch this. This is why my rough... Oh, did I not do that on my sketch layer? Apparently not. What layer did I do that on? Oh, scale. I actually have this separate already. Alright, I want to grab this. And I want to just see how this compares. I think we'll need to do a neater version of this scale. That was so...
With how it looks like it might get, yeah, you probably want to get as precise as you can as well. It probably definitely help to be as precise as you can.
Let's put him... Yeah, so I'm going to put him kind of just here off to one side. I'm going to grab this. I think we're going to rotate a little bit. Alright. So this is our scale of Rome right here. Let's do a scale. Let's get a scale bar going.
Oh, good. We'll get to learn how to do this. Is Photoshop, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, in a way, this is cheating because so this is what my logic is working. We're drawing a real world location and someone has done an actual plan of one of the key buildings in that location and they gave us a scale. So if I now take this scale, we could blow this up just for everything else in the city.
Absolutely. I mean, how can you not do that now that you know it's there?
I am curious about why have we got two scales on this, I wonder?
One on the right's for elevation. See, scale for elevation and sections.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay.
And the top is in feet and the underneath is in meters. Yeah, definitely going meters. Are you gonna go feet?
I was going to go feet. Do you think I should do meters in this one?
I got a feeling the meters is probably a bit more accurate, but
All right.
whatever.
No, we'll do it. Let's do it. I mean, being from England, and I used to be always about millimeters, centimeters, meters. It is
Right.
honestly, and I was born in an era, I'm going to be honest with you, I was born in an era where it was kind of hybrid. We were moving to the metric system, but we had a hell of a lot of imperial still going on, you know? In fact, anything that you bought from the store would have both on it. And being a war gamer, we still worked in inches and feet, you know, for rules and everything. So but I then weight, you know, stones. Yeah, I'm 8 stone in weight. The minute I moved from England, a couple of years later, all of that dropped out my head.
Oh yeah, I got a science background back when I was teaching and everything. You know, I was really conversant in the metric system, but since I quit teaching and everything and quit using it, I have to look it up now because it's been so long since I worried about it.
All right, so what am I looking at here? This is my 0. This is my 0 right there. So why have they got this? What is this?
That is a good question. Scale for plan.
And it almost counts backwards. So this is definitely still 10 meters. But it's like, I don't think I've ever seen a scale do that before. Kind of going backwards and forwards.
I'm trying to figure out what that have to be in reference to. They got it there for a reason. You know, so the trick is to figure out why.
Yeah, I just sent you the link to what's in Google Maps, so Alyssa can like Google and see if she wants. But tell her this is 2 years before we bought it, when we've added gardens.
Oh, our house?
Yeah.
All right, I'll show it to her later.
Did your darling wife mention Google Maps?
Yeah, but it's
Of your
in
house.
reference to our house here in St.
Yeah.
Louis.
I always think, you know, I would look forward to seeing that. Thank you. I always think it's a little bit almost creepo. Like, if someone came up to me and said, oh, yeah, I was Googling your house the other day, I would feel like there was, really? Were you? I'm not
Oh,
sure
yeah, my
I'm
house in
comfortable with
Arizona. Last time I looked at it on Google Maps, it has me in the driveway walking to my garage.
that. That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, I don't know if it's still there, and I haven't looked. Probably 3 years now. Last time I looked.
I occasionally Google old locations where I used to live. And the sheer volume of changes that have like taken place, you know, afterwards, and sometimes it's actually a little bit sad, you know, like where we used to live when I was a lot younger. My dad did this entire landscape into the garden. He did this entire elevated pond with koi and shit in it. And it's like, I looked at it like a couple of years ago, gone. All of that is gone. Someone somewhere in subsequent generations just knocked all of that out.
All in the name of progress.
I mean, I'm guessing a family moved there one day. Maybe they had kids and didn't want like a pond of water, which I get. You know, I get that. Or they just didn't want the maintenance of it. It's like, oh, that's actually kind of sad.
That's probably more along the lines of why they just couldn't afford to keep it up to that degree, so they had to downscale it, make it more affordable.
I don't intend to get this. What am I saying? I was going to say, I don't intend to get this finicky with everything on this map, but that's a total lie. I am going to get this finicky with almost everything on the map. But this is definitely a very, very, very small part, which is why this font looks funny. This font is literally like 2 pixels in height.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, to give you a sense of the scale that this map is going to be at. Working in meters. Alright. I don't think I have a map that works in meters. I don't think I've ever done one. So this is gonna be fun.
Well, once you get familiar with meters again, it'll be easy.
Alright, so 50 meters right there. I'm actually going to merge all of these together. Let's actually take you. Let's take you. This is going to be kind of like our... Actually, yeah, there we go. Let's merge all of them. This is our new scale for everything. I'm going to grab the old scale, which is a sketch. I'm going to delete it. And I'm just going to see how close my scale was in comparison. Where did I... Wow, this map is actually really huge. Okay, so let's grab you. Now
Yeah,
this is... What's that?
Rome wasn't tiny, so your map should be big.
Alright, so I think I was now this was all approximation right here, and it's in feet. So this 45 feet mark, what is that? About 15 meters?
Yeah, can you flip it on its side so you can line up the lines more?
Well, this is...
Oh, I see how you did. Okay.
Yeah, this is purely just back of the envelope type of thing. So this is about 15 meters. So it was a little off. It was a little off.
Well, quite a bit, actually.
Like by a factor of 2.
They're like about, what, 30% off? 40%?
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
That's, so yeah.
Because I've got 90 feet here. 90 feet would be exactly 30 meters. Oh yeah, look, it's off a good bit. My old scale was way off.
Good thing you caught it now, huh?
Yeah, let's get rid of that.
Yeah, you're literally having yourself to about roughly half scale. Yeah.
Yeah, easily half scale.
So now you got twice as much. When you're doing the smaller buildings, I mean.
Yeah, nice, okay. We'll just keep him floating, just as a nice little visual reference. And then, I guess, right, I think we're ready just to, like, start laying this thing down. I accidentally dragged that guide, so I'm just gonna hide the guides. There we go. So that's gonna be our point. We're gonna keep him. I think we're ready to kind of just move this to one side over here. That is our outside wall. I don't think we need this guy anymore. Well, I guess I could do the interior from this. I guess I could do the interior.
Yeah, you at least give yourself some marks to go by in terms of sections.
Yep.
Because you got the different, what would they call those, balconies, the walkways that go around the circumference, and then you got up and down between the seats.
Actually, that's a really good point. Yeah, that's a really good point. I could at least capture these as well. And I think
Give yourself an outline.
I thought I actually grabbed... Yeah, I might grab like an artist's impression too. Oh, this is an interesting one. What is that? What is... This must be...
Is that an actual aerial view?
I think it must be.
Maybe during World War II?
That's interesting.
Map of...
Archaeological Zone, 1930s.
So prior to World War II.
Man, that's just beautiful. That's just beautiful. Can you imagine an entire picture above like that? That would be just fantastic.
Yeah.
And we have Jonathan with us. Wargaming Ricard has joined us in the house. He's on mute right now.
Oh, cool. Hi, Jonathan.
All right, let's get these other things marked.
Did my mouse die on me? Here's a did.
I'm going to bring up a couple of other pictures here to help this process. I think something like that. Alright, a couple of other references that we're going to use. Obviously, we're drawing this from above. It will kind of give us an indication that, you know, this is our outer wall here. Well, that's this bit. We will get these, I was going to call them canvas sheets, but it's almost like tarpaulin. They were like sails above there. We'll draw some of those in. And then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 tiers. 4 tiers.
I can't wait to see how you translate that.
Right?
That would intimidate the hell out of me.
I can't draw. All of this is just magic to me.
You know, when people say that, I'm honestly always a little bit surprised. Because I don't think I'm doing anything special.
If you saw
I'm
how I drew,
intimidated
you
by
would not be
buildings. I've always
surprised.
been good at doing three-dimensional building drawings. You know, so buildings don't intimidate me that much. But this one would. This is heavily reliant on the third dimension, three-dimensional drawing to pull it off.
Okay, let's make that a lot fainter.
Yeah, the key to getting it right is your initial reference lines that you do.
And if did I actually do that on the wrong layer? I did, so let's just take that back real quick. Let's go back to you. Let's go to here, here, here. Edit, stroke, good to go. And then we're good. If I hide him temporarily, that apparently is the shape of our Coliseum with the little ground in it. Isn't it funny how much or how little of it was actually ground when you draw it like that? It's not even a freaking donut.
Yeah.
Little tiny fella.
And that overall shape plays into the engineering we talked about earlier to give it the strength to stand up for the millennia it has.
Oh, there's a picture.
It's all reinforcing itself. That's why it has that shape.
I like this picture over that picture, but this is what you were talking about. I mean, look at that. Even right down under here, look at this.
Yeah.
It's like even what you see above ground is just part of it. Even all of these individual corridors. This must have been just like a modern sports arena or sports stadium.
It's the equivalent of it, yeah. But they can do a lot more with that because remember, they can flood that and drain it off.
Yeah.
They actually had naval battles in there.
Just stunning. This is actually an incredible image, and it's quite high res too.
Yeah.
That is an incredible cutaway. Oh, wow. Whoever did this, incredible work.
I've seen some videos that say it could empty out people as faster than modern stadiums.
Really?
Yeah, just so well designed.
And what?
They didn't have to security.
Good to have you here, Wargame.
It's a pleasure to be here. I'm all cozy with my blinkies.
Yeah, me too. I got my. It's one of those lap blankets that go up. You can wear. It has sleeves.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
Pockets.
Well, wait a minute. There's a blankie that you can wear? No, I want one.
I'll link you to it. I bought it off Amazon. Got one for me, my wife, my daughter.
Shuffling around the house with a blankie on me. Let's make that happen.
Well, when you're walking around, it's long enough. You're gonna like sling it over your shoulder. But yeah,
Yeah, but then it's just like a toga.
pretty much.
Except no back.
Yeah, just no back.
Well, that's why you need two.
That'd be kind of hard to put on though. At least utilizing the sleeves of both of them.
All right. So what I'm seeing from the original Coliseum is this wooden walkway almost, this ceiling above that's actually got a little bit of depth to it. And I'm going to guess that that is the equivalent of this here, this thick black line. So I think this is my... let's make sure I label this properly. This is my reference right here. And I think what I'm gonna do is actually this. And we'll maybe 5 pixels. Yeah, that might not be too far off. That's not too far off. And I'm gonna... And obviously we don't need it down here, it's just the way that Photoshop is doing the select. I'm gonna create a new layer. And I think I'm gonna do this in brown. And I'm doing this on a new layer. Yeah, something like that. In fact, you know what I'm gonna do though? Let's edit stroke on the outside, so it'll actually do there. Yeah, that'll be fine. And then I'm gonna get rid of this part of it because we don't need it there at all. And then I can merge it with the actual drawing. It's almost like when you consider that this whole thing, let's say if you printed it just on a piece of paper, it's going to be like that. It's like, why are we even bothering? Well, because I want people to be able to print it like this. I want people to have to just have a big print of this thing.
Oh yeah, if it's zoomable, we absolutely could zoom in on it and absolutely do the print. Yeah.
Yeah, I want. So there was this. There's this famous map, and I forget the guy who did it now, but it was I want to say it was a dude in the 1800s or something, but I'm probably incorrect. And he did the multiple stages of Rome big, like just big, and there were overlapping sort of layers, so it was like ancient Rome and then Rome in medieval times and Rome in his times, and he did them in different colors, and it was a great reference. And I have a PDF of it somewhere, and I saw a version of that, but just one of the layers, so to speak, like the ancient Rome layer, about on a poster that was like 8 feet across on this guy's office wall, and it blew me away when I saw it, and I'm like, I want that. So we're going to create that. We're going to draw that, but with more detail, because that was just a whole bunch of black blocks on it.
Well, I definitely want you to go out because you know what I'm doing with Anna's Greyhawk map. I want to do that with this map. I want to do, assuming how it works for a 5x14 versus, I might have to go with some other dimensions. I have to talk to Mark about it when it comes time.
Personally, I think you should just post it in the hallway on the third floor.
It might work, yeah.
So we've got the outside, and then we've got some multiple tiers underneath. So there's our reference.
It's going to work with a long map, though. I think it's going to have to be more rectangular.
Let's get a pen out. I'm actually going to do just a little bit of cleanup here.
I like how they're pre-planning where it's going to go in their house.
What's that?
I like how they're pre-planning where it's going to go in their house.
Well, it's huge. You got to know where it's going to go.
Gotta make plans, Pax. What's wrong with you?
I think though that makes total sense. It's like I don't know about Trebor, but for me, I've only got limited wall space, and like most of it's taken up with bookshelves.
Let alone 14-foot long wall space. You know,
It would fit there.
I don't think this room is 14 feet wide. Is this room 14 feet wide?
All I'm hearing is you have plenty of ceiling space. That's all I'm hearing.
I'm actually
Ceiling.
thinking about utilizing the ceiling, to be honest. But my wife thinks that we could actually put it up here in this room. But this is our dining room. Do you really want a Greyhawk map in our dining room?
Well, Rhiannon, I was telling Rhiannon to move the mural there, and she's not.
Yeah.
I was going to put a mural there.
I mean, eventually when Celeste is done with the Rome map, we can put the Rome map up here and then put the Greyhawk map up on the 3rd floor. The Rome map's actually more fitting down here.
It would be.
You know, have you ever seen those people that actually do a resin floor, and they put like coins or something all over the floor, or something else?
Yeah.
It'd be kind of cool to do a map on the resin, like a really cool looking map, especially in a game room or something.
Yeah, it'd be hard for me.
So what are we dealing with here? What are we dealing with here?
We were keeping this. We would do the foyer like that and put our family emblem in the flooring here, but we're not keeping this house, so it doesn't make sense to do that.
Have you shot her a picture of it yet?
No, I'd have to be at the main PC to
You
do it.
can't access her.
1, 2 major areas. I guess this
We can access
this
Facebook.
must be this.
You said you would have Messenger. Just go to Facebook.
Well, she
But
can't
they've got
look at
another
it.
one further down that I'm not seeing here. Maybe it's this.
Oh, well, she's working on getting this laid out. I'll go send
It's
it
gotta
to her.
be. It's gotta be, I guess. One. Yeah, this one doesn't have it. No, this is too far down. This is like the bottom tier. That's here. That's what that is. And then so we've got 1, 2 tiers. So we've got 1, 2. Was it 1, 2, 3, 4 tiers? 1, 2, 3, and then up there on the back seats.
Sure, go down there.
You should be.
So I guess
No, it's
maybe I should use this. That side seems to be a little clearer. 1, 2. Oh well, this is actually dissecting the though. But 1. Where's my second layer? Can I use this side? No. I think we could approximate it, but that is definitely tier 1. It's definitely tier 1. Let's get these in. How's everyone doing anyway? Jonathan, Pex, how is everyone this morning?
Mute button. I'm doing good. Had a morning meeting and got out of that. Now I'm working on my Goodreads list while I'm watching this. Then I will be doing some more work for both you and Frogs after this. So yeah, typical day.
What is your Goodreads list?
It's basically what I'm using it for is my book purchasing list, and I have it sorted by number of rankings and average user reads, essentially. And I'm going particularly for leather editions of books that I've read or plan to read in the future. So they have that information available for me to pull.
So is
from
this
there.
like a collection? Is this like a hobby, a read list of yours? What is this?
Yeah. I'm trying to construct a library, a good-looking library in leather form. Kind of like an old
Really?
English kind of library. Yeah. I read a lot, and so does my entire family, actually. So I thought this would be fun. It's what I spend a lot of my time doing, so might as well beautify it a little bit because they look better than paperbacks and regular hard slipcase cover editions, in my opinion.
I never would have tagged you for that, only because where do you find the time?
Well, I assign myself 2 hours in the morning, and then after my 2 hours, it's work, or whenever I wake up. Essentially,
That's really
my
cool.
morning's relative.
That's really cool. Leather bound too. That's fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes the books just aren't in leather, and I have to wait, I don't know, a decade for them to come in leather. Because it's very non-profitable for publishing houses to do that. But there's been a spin on self-publishing in the last 10 years where it is profitable to do so. So the self-publishers are coming out with leather. And then unless it's a specialty shop like the Folio Society or Easton Press, it's hard to find stuff in leather. Those are the only two active print companies I know of that do a decent job specializing in leather. But yeah, that's totally geekery of another kind.
No, it is. It really is, and that's really cool. Like, I'm not even sure I've ever heard of anyone doing that before.
I don't think it's like coin collecting and stamp collecting. People do it, but does anybody really know anybody that does it?
Yeah, it's probably one of those things too where it just doesn't come up in conversation very much. But it's really cool when it is mentioned because that's actually very, very, very unique.
Yeah, and it's getting more. The book world's getting more interesting these days, is because they're having to bounce off the. Ever since 2010, I want to say, it's been a very much digital world, and the whole print world has changed, I guess, drastically since, because of Kindle and Audible. Both fantastic, don't get me wrong, but print books are. I don't know. I just like how a book feels in my hand versus a tablet or an Audible book, in my experience.
I'm actually 100% right there with you. No, I get that. I do.
I get the convenience factor, but I like the reading experience because I have a special chair and lamp, and I'm a weirdo like that. So
You have a special reading chair?
I do.
Dude, okay. You're actually that is a part of you, honestly, I feel privileged to actually get to learn that little bit about you. That is actually really, really cool.
I don't talk about it a whole lot, to be honest, because a lot of people aren't into it, I guess. And they're like, oh, you read books? Okay. I'm like, yeah, I do. And that's about the end of the conversation, to be fair.
Right.
Well, I'm sure Alyssa can verify, for her and I growing up, there's never been a lot of people into reading books. So
Yeah. Neither with me when I was growing up. I was one of the few readers.
yeah, when I was in high school, I was like one of like two people who would dare to sit in a cafeteria and read a physical book.
Yeah, same here. There's like two of us, and we didn't really interact. That was the funnier part.
In high school, I formed a sci-fi and fantasy club where everybody could go meet in the library and feel safe. And I had like 14 people gathered around me.
Well, the
14,
reading
that's
club is different. I'm
huge.
just saying, I'd be,
Well, it was a safety club
yeah.
for us to do that.
Mm.
Well, you were also in Atlanta, where I was more rural.
I
Safety wasn't as big of an issue for us.
I was in Stone Mountain. There's a big difference. Foundation of the KKK and crazy people.
True. Yeah, plus in my
I
area,
think for me, I don't know. I ran with, because of Dungeons and Dragons and wargaming, I ran with a group at school that had great cause to go to the local library, and have books out all of the time. But my mum and dad were pretty big into books, a little bit like Pex is talking about. They always had this incredible collection of books and encyclopedias back when there was such a thing. And they were always sets, right? And they were like leather bound. They looked really good on the shelf. And I remember as a kid sitting down just flicking through those things because they'd have color plates in them and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And I was mesmerized by that shit. So I think as a kid, yeah, I definitely read and was fascinated and loved books. But yes, Treebor's comment of then how many other kids were doing that thing. Yeah, not many. But my friends did read. In all truth, they were reading, even just I'm gonna call them fiction books or whatever else, constantly. So I think our little group did, but it wasn't a thing you saw kids in the cafeteria doing.
Right. You asked about my reading share. I actually have this pedestal. It's actually meant for the Muslim Bible, but I repurposed it for my purposes, which is I have a giant ass dictionary, and it's the one they use for the National Spelling Bee every year. And it's like 3,000 words, or no, I'm sorry, 3,000 pages. And I have to have a magnifier to read it because it's basically the kind of paper you in a Bible. It's that paper thin and micro shrunk down words. And not only do they have the word, but they have like the 10 origin words that go with it. Because some of words have fallen out of common use, and those don't get printed in modern dictionary. So when I'm reading some older work and they use a funny looking word that sounds sort of like a word we've used, but not really, I have to look that up and figure out what the context of that word means in that sentence. It's mainly for older work than modern stuff, but yeah.
You are deep, man. You are deep. This is a side of you. I honestly, if you had said to me, okay, you've got 100 guesses for the things that Pex is into, this would have been not in there.
He's describing a dictionary as it's thinking of this onion paper.
There's some books are so dense that they use that just to get the information into the same quality.
Yeah, the font on that dictionary, you have to have a my eyes aren't bad, mind you, but you have to have a magnifier to read it.
Does your dictionary say somewhere what the paper is that you use? Because it sounds to me like it's onion paper.
I believe it does. Here, let me bring it up. I chose the American one because I'm an American, first of all. The Oxford one is like 20 volumes. It's ridiculous, and I wasn't going to buy 20 freaking pedestals or get up and down all the time. Let's see. I think I bought it off Amazon.
Yeah, my Arizona home, I still have a pretty sizable book collection that's not gaming related. It's, well, in a way it is, because like one section of I have the Time Life Wild West series, with their faux leather, and got a couple of historical books on American Indians, the Old West and stuff like that. Because I like to run Wild West RPG games.
Right, and leather itself is interesting. When I started getting into the collecting bit of it, it was, God, you would not believe the types of leather used, and also country of origin and creature of origin are important in these factors,
including human skin.
Yes, which is just creepy, and I don't get those. I think they're illegal.
Well, they're legal when they go out of when the human skin go out of use, 1890s, 1880s.
Yeah. It's the same thing with like
but it was very common and cheap, so that's why they use it.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, was it with permission?
I think they just used dead people because people's life expectancy was rapid at that time.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, my wife curated for the Waring University. What's the Waring Institute?
Library. I sent it
the Waring Library.
Because it was.
Yeah. She got. She discovered when she was a floor manager of the medical library one of the books she had was Human Skin from when?
1812.
From 1812, and she's like, no, this needs to be at Waring, not here. Because it was available for 2-week checkout too.
Wow.
At the time she discovered it. So she got it put into the system over at Waring.
It was
It is the Webster's third new International Unabridged Edition. And they say new, but it's 10 years old. But that's the last updated version they put out.
They talk
Yeah,
about
I'll
the
put
paper.
the link
they
for
put
it
out.
in chat. Did it take me to the page? No. I like this.
Yeah, but the book was basically a local answer to Audubon, but only doing Charleston flora and fauna.
Oh, somebody did the flora and fauna of Charleston in 1812.
Yeah,
So it was,
it was all illustrated pictures in black and straight.
wow.
I was not pleased with it going forward.
Yeah, it's good you got it to Warren. By the way, Alyssa, I put those links in Discord to the blanket with sleeves I'm currently using.
Okay,
Except
cool.
I think I gave you my daughter's color. I think I sent you the one in red. And then in the pictures chat, I put the Google Maps link to the front of my house.
Before we bought it.
Before we bought it.
They added gardens and cleaned it up.
Yeah, so it's still dated. They haven't updated since we moved here 3 years ago.
So, what's with the caveat of before we bought it? Have you made improvements to the front of your house?
Yeah, we've got a garden out there. I got my memorial garden to my mother, and we got some trees that we planted.
New roof, new
Some,
windows.
and we put new windows and new roof on it. Still got a lot more to do. Got about another 100,000 to put into this place, especially in the foundation. Foundation needs a lot of restoration.
I like how
Well,
your
you know-
wife was before we bought it.
Yeah. We got a
It's
couple.
better
fruit trees
now.
up there. Yeah, it is better now. We got a couple of fruit trees up there. The memorial garden to my mom with, I transplanted actual flowers from her flower beds in Ohio and brought them out here and transplanted them here.
Oh, that's actually really cool.
Yeah, I thought my mom would appreciate it.
Yeah.
And plus the beautiful tulips and other flowers
It had been in your family for over 40 years.
that have been in my family for over 40 years. I mean, these are flower strains my mom's kept going her entire life. So when we leave here, I intend on taking them with, some bulbs of each one with me so I can do it again wherever we go.
My mom did something similar for my great granddad. She cut she had a cutting from one of his favorite bushes from his garden, transplanted it to the home that we lived in, transplanted it to the next home we lived in, maybe for 3 generations of homes, and it ended up being this. Actually, I think it was like an acacia bush or something. It was this big, huge bush. It was absolutely beautiful. And then when she moved to Bulgaria, she couldn't do it, so she had to separate herself from it. But I get what you're saying, but it was kind of sad at the end of it.
Yeah, I'm hoping at some point my kids will get into gardening because I hated gardening growing up, but it's probably because my mom forced me to go out there and garden.
Me
right?
too.
Yeah.
I hate gardening as well, but she made beautiful gardens.
But now I do my own gardens. Right? I started out because I love tomato. I love tomatoes off the plant, and store-bought tomatoes just taste like shit. So I started growing them again about 20 years ago, babe. Started growing my own tomatoes again about 20 years ago, and now I do almost not nearly the scale of garden my mom did because I've never, I'm disabled and I can't manage it. But we do like a 10 by 15 in our backyard. We got, we're doing fruit trees in the front yard.
Yeah, mine was always dig a hole or move these 100 bricks in this pattern I crafted in my head.
Well, my mom didn't do that. It was just purely, move the dirt, plant the seed.
Oh yeah, the dirt and the
Water it.
fertilizer, the mulch, the hay. Ugh.
Yeah, absolutely.
I hated doing the actual work, but the end result, yeah, okay, I guess it was worth it. Still hated doing
It's
the
worth
work.
it. It's so worth it. At least to me.
Yeah.
Because I love squash, right? But when you buy it at the store so often, it's bitter.
Mhm.
So at least when I grow the squash myself, it's going to be awesome. The way it's supposed to be. Same with broccoli and stuff. Nothing beats homegrown. they can't get it to you fast enough.
Yeah, it's not saying here the paper used. I'll have to check the book and get back to you on that.
Yeah, I'm just guessing it's onion paper, but with it being only 10 years old, maybe there's probably something else they use nowadays.
Yeah.
I just know when I was younger, when it was that dense of a book, typically encyclopedias or dictionaries, they used onion paper.
Yeah, what amuses me is they say comfortable typeface, because that's a lot. It's so tiny.
Pex, you got to take a photo of this book. I need to see it.
Oh, it's in the chat. You can see
Okay.
Here, I'll put it in Discord for you. That might be easier for you to grab.
Listen, before watching you do this, I wouldn't let myself cheat like that. But now that I'm seeing you doing it, I'm like, why the hell wouldn't I do it that way?
What do you mean?
Well, you're basically tracing an outline. That's quote unquote cheating in the art world. But it's like, but why wouldn't I do it this way? Why would I make it harder on myself when I can do it this way instead?
Right, and for we've done the Coliseum on the Gaxmore map, and we kind of eyeballed that, and it came out great in a fraction of the time. But this is Rome, and I feel a certain amount of obligation to get details and scale correct.
Well, especially since you're calling it your magnum opus, it's got to be your opus, right?
I think any of our iconic buildings, they need to be right. I can't, it's not like I could take the Colosseum map and go, and I'm going to put a garden out here. And it's because people are going to go, that's not what was there. So I do feel a level of, if we've got a plan of this building, I am going to trace that plan 100%, because then no one will be able to point at it and go, actually, that's incorrect. Because I will be able to go, actually, it's fucking perfect.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, but I'm glad that you made me have that switch of thinking in my mind.
If you paid attention, Rhiannon can do it.
Well, both my dad and my sister are in the art, and they use templates all the time. My dad was I wouldn't use the word cheater, but he used to do portraits, but what he used to do is take a photograph and a projector, and the projector would project onto the canvas, and he would do his pencil outline off of that before he started painting.
Make sure you had the contours correct.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
it was way
that was
easier
big,
to do
right?
that than by hand.
Like light boxes and projections and everything. That's a thing.
Yeah. Because he said if you do it by hand, he would, lack of a better, we'll use the word screw it up, but those weren't his words.
Probably a little more profane.
Yes.
I know I've heard Alyssa use the word, so it's not like you'd be burning her ears if you repeated it.
Well, I don't want to get dinged over at the censors over at Twitch or YouTube or whatnot, so there you go.
Ah, that's true. Wasn't thinking about them.
I don't think we have this channel listed as child-friendly, though, right?
No, we're not under COPA. If we were, we would be demonetized and excommunicated so fast.
I mean, I don't like to drop too many expletives, but when I get passionate, they kind of come out. What can I say?
Right, and YouTube's a platform where you can do that. It's just a lot of users have done the kid-friendly thing or try to get away with it, but they're so stringent, and they have like hidden rules they don't tell you about, and you get dinged for it.
Oh, really? Like what?
Yeah. Like if you use a word, an adult word like feces or fecal matter, you can't. But you can use words like poop, which doesn't make any sense, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they have to
So they
And
use,
then the
they have to use-
context of the word usage as well is also a thing they can or cannot ding you for.
Yeah, they want to use a kid's lexicon versus an adult's lexicon.
Exactly, and they're really stringent, and all the rules are all the way muddy. And then if you do get dinged for it, YouTube doesn't tell you what you get dinged for. They just say you've gotten dunged for this. Well, where in my video is this thing you're talking about? And they won't tell you. They'll just tell you you've done a bad thing.
You did bad.
Pretty much.
Right,
And
do I-
Twitch has started to crack down a lot too, especially with the music. And the music thing is I think it's getting out of hand all around with the rights and lawyers and all that. But yeah.
In what way?
Well, a lot of the cases, the artists are okay with it. They don't care. And it comes down to publishing houses of, if we expect you to enforce the cease and desist kind of deal if they get flagged or somebody reports it somehow, some way in the community standards determined policies. Because they think we're giving away free music, and I guess to an extent we are in the video realm.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm going to listen to a music video, I'm not going to listen on somebody's stream. Well, the quality is going to be really, really low versus me listening to the video off a download or the actual proper music video. It just doesn't make any sense. And we have the radio, which is technically free content as well, but there's no ads, and YouTube's not giving the music company a % of their ad revenue, and that's their biggest gripe, is they're not getting any money out of it, and it's all about money. So, I think personally the freedom of expression of including music in your everyday life, whether it be in streams or videos, is A-okay. And the music industry as a whole just needs to step back and relax. You're getting money elsewhere. It's okay. And if you really care about it that much, why don't you contact the person using the music you're complaining about all the time and let them be a sponsor for them? Give them money to play more of your music, to sell more of CDs, or drive more traffic to buy your iTunes. That's how you get your more money. Why not do that?
Yeah, because if you have an audience, you can say, I'm advertising. Where's my money, bitch? Oh, sorry.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Where's my money for that? I'm promoting your music.
Exactly. But again, those are personal opinions, and there's a lot of lawyers, and there's a lot of music publishers that disagree with me entirely. So, who am I?
I know one way you can get it, if you can, integrate it into your programming. If you play the music and you do like a kind of review of it, then you're actually protected by copyright law for doing it and using that music because you're reviewing it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's
So if you
weird.
Because
not doing
music
That's not
reviews
true.
are a thing.
That's
that?
actually not true. That's
Yeah,
a defense, but that doesn't mean you're legally allowed to do it. Unless you're given rights or you're paying royalties for such a thing, you're not allowed to.
There's entire
Reviewers don't have to pay royalties to anybody to review their product, whether it's music or whatever.
But
That's
if you're
not
playing,
how reviews work.
if you're playing the music on a video or a stream, it violates copyright law. Whether you're reviewing it or you're doing a parody of it or whatever, you're not allowed unless you have the rights to use the music in it.
It also depends if you're monetizing that particular video or not as well.
Doesn't matter. This is something I've had to look into a lot with lawyers in the past because of podcasting. Those are things I thought were things, but they're not things.
Well, there is the free or fair use category is what I'm mainly talking
Yeah,
about.
but YouTube comes down on the fair use too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. They do, which I also find
Which is
odd.
bullshit, but this is how that Harris Heller guy has managed to forge $150,000 a month empire because he's come up with a solution against this bullshit. Because he's also in your camp, Pex, but he went off and actually did something about it,
No, I'm just all talk. Yeah. No. I'm good for him, and I'm glad he did, and he deserves all the money in the world. Fight the man, man.
That's inspiring. What he did is inspiring, and it's almost completely freaking obvious. It's one of those, why didn't I do that? You know, because I was sitting there thinking he created all of this music on his own. No, he went to Fiverr and hired musicians to create music for him, and now he's earning $150,000 a month. I'm like,
music's good too. I mean, sometimes that stuff is junk, but his stuff is good.
oh, his stuff is really good because, I mean, the guy's an expert in his field, and he recognized that there's a lot of freaking junk out there. There is.
Yeah.
Right, and that's why you'll hear the same soundbite intros on YouTube because they only allow certain things. It's mainly the stuff they produce, which is another game in the system in itself. Because if I watch a lot of YouTube and I hear the same intro on different channels all the time, and I've actually watched videos on this exact same thing. Same with the outros and same with any kind of pre-recorded sound bites. It's really weird. The streaming world is an interesting world in that of itself, and I don't think it's settled yet because it's just fairly new. We're talking 2007 forward. So,
yeah, if that, it's pretty recent.
Yeah, so it's less than 15 years old technically, and I don't think it's found its feet.
No,
even though everybody uses it every day. So,
and the music industry certainly is way behind the curve.
Oh yeah, I don't know if you guys remember. You guys remember Napster and all the huffle and buffle that came about with that?
Yeah.
I don't remember the huffle and buffle. I do remember Napster.
Well, it was like when all the artists came out and started suing Napster, like Metallica, they were a big proponent of suing people. They had to shut it down because basically Napster was all about free downloads before iTunes was a thing. And the artists were actually getting mad because this is cutting into their CD sales, right? Well, us common folk, we couldn't afford to buy $30 CDs in bulk. It just wasn't economical. You had to be picky and choosy about CDs, to be fair. And that's back before satellite radio was a thing too.
Now Metallica, for instance, is backtracking on that because they realized, we really screwed ourselves out of a lot of potential revenue by, establishing these precedences.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, I think Coke got involved on that bandwagon too. They were offering free songs on their bottle caps to download legally. They tried to reverse it, like, hey, we're above board kind of deal. And I think that petered out, and then iTunes came along, and they're the standard today. Or $1 a song. They were trying to profit off it somehow. I found it amusing.
Yeah, I actually prefer today's format because now I don't have to listen to all the crap music they put on an album. I can just find out which ones I actually like and just pay for those. So screw
That's
yourself.
how most people
crap.
are.
Yeah.
It's like 4 or 5 songs, and the rest of the stuff I don't care about.
Right, exactly. So you're not paying for that anymore. You just get precisely what you like. And you can still buy it and own it forever.
Right. I mean, when I was growing up before iPods and stuff, it was all about burning stuff to CDs, and you want to make your own custom album with your pick and choose a la carte 30 songs or however many you can cram on.
Right, your favorite playlist. Yep.
Right, it was your playlist CD essentially.
I go all the way back to tapes when we recorded on tapes. And sound quality has gotten so much better since I was a kid. Holy crap.
Well, my car did not have a CD player, so what I had to do, it had a regular cassette player, is I figured out a way to take the radio and record the music that was played on the radio. I would have to manually stop and start the recording. And that's how I made my custom cassettes to listen in my car, because I did not have a CD player.
Do you remember the era of, like, when a song would come on the radio and you go, oh shit, and you go running over to the tape to try and catch it, and that's how you actually got music back in the day?
Yep, that was my day. Well, you and I are of the same age. So.
I think we are. I think we're pretty much spot on.
Yeah.
I've got to the point now where I actually have to calculate my age to figure out what I am.
Yeah.
doesn't work. Right.
I remember when those new metal oxide tapes were all the rage because of how much better longevity they had and everything. They lasted like 3 years, and then CDs came on.
Yeah,
and then
the whole music thing has moved so freaking quickly. It's like so you got the 6 tracks, which we didn't have in England. 8 tracks, 6 track, 8 tracks, right?
8 track.
Eight
Don't
track.
forget, we actually had those vinyl albums back in the day too.
Albums.
45s before that.
Yeah, I had both. You know, I grew up. You know,
And when this stuff got phased out, it phased out real fast.
and now it's making a comeback.
Yeah.
I remember between the period of streaming and CDs, we had mini CDs. They lasted like all of 2 years.
Oh yeah,
No one remembers them because technology jumped really fast between that iteration. It was hilarious.
Yeah, I don't think I ever bought a mini CD. I don't remember if I had any. I don't think I did.
I think you're better off because there's not many out there.
Right, let alone anything to play them on.
Uh-huh.
Even when I found out my current CD player, I can play mini CDs in them.
Oh, nice.
I'm like, why? I don't see them. You know, I don't see anything ever for sale on that format.
There's probably a limited collector's market out there, but that's not something I'm interested in.
Yeah, me neither. I mean, I don't even do CDs and DVDs anymore. USBs. Everything's on USB. All my music, all my movies I own.
I don't even bother with that anymore. It's just I find a list on YouTube or I create my own list.
Well, that's because you don't travel between 2 houses like I do.
Fair point. I barely leave my house as is, so there you go.
How often do
Yeah.
you move between your houses, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, technically not nearly as often as we wanted to and hope to be able to do. But usually I go back to Arizona for a couple weeks, at least 2-3 times a year. We were hoping to do more of a 50-50 thing, but you know, Alicia's work situation, Alicia's my wife, hasn't worked out yet. But hopefully, once the pandemic lifts, they'll keep her work from home, and hopefully then the 50-50 option will become a reality for us.
So, I get the impression one is not a holiday home, which is more typical.
No, they're home.
Or is
They're home.
it?
They're both a home. You know, we don't look at them as, well, that's our holiday home. They're both our home.
They're just where you live. You just bounce
Yeah,
between. Okay.
My book library, which the thieves didn't steal a bit of, funny enough, I guess because they're physical books, and who the hell wants physical books, right? It's still there at the house in Arizona. They stole it. They didn't even steal my game CDs for my PlayStation 2 and stuff. They left all that alone for some reason.
But they stole your book, your one set of gaming books, and left the $500 DSM-5 alone.
Yeah, I have a copy of the DSM-5. It's like a $500 book. They left that alone, but stole my gaming books that were like $20, $30 each if they're lucky. It's like, I'm glad you left the DSM-5 alone, but man.
The book market's weird too, and unless you're versed in it, they did not know the worth of the books.
Oh yeah, like the Wild West series for Time Life Wild West series I got. Each book is like $50. The whole set was worth over $500, and it was right there, so they didn't take it.
Right. I mean, I bought a Robert Browning book of poems, leather, and it had a slipcase also in leather for $25. And the previous week, I bought a $150 book, like a no-name book, that it's not attached to a real famous guy, but it was, well, $150 for reasons unknown, other than there's not many copies out there. It's not because the writing's any good or better. It's just scarcity.
Oh yeah, that's like the first printing of J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter book versus later printings. You know,
Right,
Price
right.
is huge.
Armor from the Battle of Bisbee, until they started reprinting it, it was $20,000 to $25,000 book.
Did your wife just say the words Battle of Visby?
Yes. Because there's a book on it that used to be like a $5,000 book, but
25.
$25,000 book. But then how long ago did they start reprinting it?
Oh, about a decade.
Then about a decade ago, they finally started reprinting it. Because it's basically a catalog of all armor pieces found and discovered to have been worn, as well as weaponry at the Battle of Bisbee.
Yeah, I'm just still like, she's so awesome. She just said the words Battle of Bisbee. I mean,
Well,
how many people on the planet would even say that? That's awesome.
Well, she has a history degree. She just focused more on the effects of disease on civilizations through the ages than other things. But she is aware of a lot of other history.
That's very, very, very cool.
And I write for fun.
Yeah, and she writes for fun. I mean, she's writing a sci-fi series that she's been writing for close to 2 years now, and it's over 1,600 pages.
I have the first book already on Amazon, but this is.
Yeah, you wrote that before.
Yeah, but I just wanted to turn it into a serial instead of a single.
Yeah, she's planning on putting it on the internet in some format as a serial eventually. She published the first book. What's it called?
War Ravens.
War Ravens on Amazon.
I need to get it.
And she's going to rewrite that anyway. She's editing issues and story issues with it, so she needs to pull it down anyhow.
I got tired of, you can only write 320 pages.
Yeah, she's tired of this 320-page format. She's writing until she's done telling the story. So she wants to do some kind of serialized format for it.
Yeah, the only other collecting market I think is above and beyond complexities is probably the art world, to be honest.
Well, a lot of that's fixed, especially if you're talking the high-end stuff. That's just so artificially controlled. It's
right.
Unless
the art
you're rich,
bubble will burst every 10 years and weird things happen.
Yeah, but by and large, the high-end art market is just totally fabricated.
Yeah, it's always out of my price range, so I never bother with it. But I do look into the factors of why it's collectible, and it's a fascinating study.
Well, they pretty much use it as basically a way to get tax write-offs in large amounts. That's probably the primary driving force to the high-end art market is tax write-offs.
Well, yeah, but more what I was talking about is all the factors that have to go in, like if it's in its original frame or not, paper damage or sunlight damage. Well, books and other.
Well, you're talking, like the great artists like Van Gogh and those. I'm talking like if you're in a modern market trying to break in as an artist, fair point. So
last week about the artificial nature of it.
Yeah, my wife says she read a good article last week about the artificial nature of it in the modern artwork world, not Van Gogh and the old greats. That's more genuine. But,
Now, is this a little bit like the diamond market then? It's just completely fabricated?
Oh, absolutely.
Or
Absolutely.
like
If diamonds are so rare, why does everybody who wants one have one?
diamonds are about as rare as topaz, geologically speaking.
Yeah, and geologically speaking, diamonds are about as rare as topaz, which means they're not rare. There's tons of it, literally.
I read an interesting article at a Wired magazine of a guy who made a machine to make artificial diamonds, and he had to stop because he got approached by a lot of questionable people that gave him a stern talking to in the diamond industry. May or may not violence have ensued or been threatened upon this man's life, and he basically had to change his identity and stop his operations. I found it wholly interesting.
Yeah, I wonder what they did about Russia then, because Russia manufactures diamonds all the time.
Right. It's common practice now, but when the article came out, it was cutting edge at the time.
Yeah, they just, I have to look it up, but just yesterday or the day before, I found they discovered a new technique of, I think it involved, radiation at a certain, no, it wasn't radiation. I'll have to look it up, but they discovered a new aspect of diamond making that will actually make them even better than they currently do, which is, I find in itself baffling because as I understand it, they're making perfect diamonds already. So how this improves it, I wasn't really clear on.
Right, he was getting in trouble because he was trying to sell his artificial diamonds by just going into diamond shops and be like, how much are you giving for this?
Well, that alone pissed him off because that's a whole hierarchy right there in and of itself.
Right. I don't think he understood the hierarchy or the politics of the diamond world.
But yeah, it has to come through specific channels, and they got to be licensed, authorized. You know, if you try to come in from outside of that, oh no.
Yeah.
Well, if you come outside of that, there's technically blood diamonds.
They were doing it well before the blood diamonds were even an issue.
Yes.
That was just an extra political thing for them to say, "Oh, buy out through us because then you'll know it's not a blood diamond." Even though you and I know damn well it probably was a blood diamond anyway.
They also microwave serial numbers on all official diamonds now, both to help keep track of them, but also because they can no longer be used as, last year's Bitcoin thing.
Right.
They're not untraceable anymore.
Right. Yeah, and how they laser etch each individual diamond's kind of amazing too.
Oh, the microscopic level? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, how the hell do you do that? Lasers? Yeah, but still, I understand lasers.
Really tiny lasers.
You get that small.
Mm.
And then you go, well, it is a light beam. That's pretty small.
Yeah, I guess there's another collectible market or a market in itself that's fascinating.
Which market?
The jewelry market or the rare gem market.
My wife and I used to do that for 10 years. So.
But yeah, it's on the same process of art and books and other collectible type things or things of value.
Yeah, the markup on that is disgusting too.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Remember we used to buy sapphires for $9 a carat?
Yeah, we used to buy sapphires for $9 a carat. To give you an idea, sapphires at the stores would sell to you for $1,000.
Yeah, one of the ones that we got for $9, we traded for a horse that was in it. She took it to a store and had it appraised, and it was $1,200.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you get out of it, if you don't mind me asking? You don't have to answer.
We used to do faceting and cabbing, and my wife used to do casting. She'd make the rings. She'd make the gold pieces that they would get mounted to. She did that part.
Our supplier won, his supply went down, and we got evidence he was trading in Afghanistan during the war.
Yeah, so
And
but it was primarily our health. It was primarily our health deteriorating that made us stop. Like when she
it was also buying 100 carats from him that was supposed to be Tanzanian rubies and knowing they were Afghani instead.
Yeah. Well, he didn't know we knew our gemstones so well. He didn't think we'd be able to identify them. Yeah, my wife and I got so good back in the day. We could tell you where a diamond or a sapphire or a tourmaline came from by the composition of its impurities. What kind of impurities it had.
Wow.
How it refracted.
How it refracted. What kind of formations the impurities exhibit. Were inside of the
We
gemstone.
literally lectured at Charleston University for it.
Yeah.
We were invited to lecture.
Yeah.
But you used to be president of the gym club, so.
Yeah. Yeah, I even used to be president of a pretty sizable gym club out in Charleston. So, I mean, I still got a decent collection, but it's not nearly as extensive as it used to be. Sold a lot of it off over the years.
And an ambassador that we sent some of our best stuff to never returned it.
Yeah, and faster we sent some of our best stuff to is not returned our calls, let alone returned our material, let alone returned it cut like he's supposed to do.
Oh, indeed.
1 gram Hessonite garnet.
Like one of them was a 21 gram Hessonite garnet. If you happen to be familiar with Hessonite, it typically looks oily. This was glass clean. There was no oiliness to it. So that in and of itself made it rare. Plus the fact that it was 21 grams also made it rare because it's rare to find garnets, period, of that size, let alone Hessonite. So that's one of the ones he stole from us. So.
And a carat is 5 carats make a gram.
Yeah, I realized 5 carats make a gram. So that was over 100 carat Hessonite garnet.
After it was cut, it was going to be 20 to 25 carats.
Yep. So now we just sit on it. We don't trust nobody anymore.
live in Monterey.
Yeah. We actually knew her.
Mm-hmm. She stole my blue garden.
Yep.
She was supposed to mount it.
Yep.
Yeah, I can imagine that type of industry is very hard to trust anyone.
But at the same time, we've been shipped $100,000 worth of product, had it mislabeled, and called up the people and told them, you sent us too much. You sent us stuff you didn't need to, and they said, we'll do business with you from now on.
Yeah, my wife just said, I don't know how much you heard, but in reference to what you said, we'd have people send us, like in one specific case, $100,000 of Australian opal they weren't supposed to send us, and we said, hey, you sent us this by mistake. We were supposed to get a much smaller shipment, much less valuable shipment. And they're like, oh, great, would you send that back? And they said, you can rest assured we'll do business with you from now on, because we established that we weren't thieves. Or like, they sent us $100,000 of Australian opal. We could have turned around into probably nearly $1 million, once sold.
It was Australian Lightning Ridge Black Opal.
Yeah, it was Australian Lightning Ridge Black Opal with the full color spectrum, And we didn't even go through it to see just how good a quality it was in there. I mean, what we did see looked really good.
We sold one stone that we asked them for,
Mhm.
sent back the rest, and gave them money for the stone.
Yep. But yeah, they're used to being robbed in the industry. So when they find people that are trustworthy, they latch onto you. So like when I had to give up doing what I did, and when she had to give up what she, doing that, they were very unhappy that we had to do it. They would love for us to stay in the industry.
But we did collect a $600,000 collection at zero cost to us after that.
Yeah.
Frustrating.
Yeah, you guys talked about what kind of trading do you talk about when you trade goods instead of money?
Barter.
Barter. We basically bartered our way up to our personal collection, and so trading in kind and stuff like that. So the barter system in certain situations is still very much alive. Like in a certain aspect of the gem industry, barters is still very much done between us. At least when we still did it 15 plus years ago.
Well, no, they have an entire event in that town in.
Is it still going on?
Yeah, and it lasts a week, and all it is bartering between people.
Okay, so my wife says that they still are using the bartering system. We have meetups in specific towns across the country where we'll stay there a week just to do these kinds of barter trades between us.
Yeah. That one in Arizona is the biggest.
Yeah. So bartering is still active, just on a much smaller scale. I mean, that huge lapis stone I showed you guys a picture of in Discord, I got that because of connections. Well, technically my wife got it because she knew I love lapis, and she came across this deal for that piece, and
I paid money for it.
She paid money for it in that instance, but
I talked them down to half the price.
Yeah.
And I got it shipped directly from Afghanistan.
So that was directly shipped from Afghanistan, AAA quality lapis. That stone I showed you in its current form is worth about 10 grand.
It was a slab. It was literally a flagstone.
Yeah, it's literally about 3 inches thick, and so that's why I got the cash value of it out of my insurance settlement, but I would still much rather have the stone itself.
Did you not get that back?
No, they can't. They haven't recovered it yet.
So even though they know who did it,
they don't know where we dumped it. Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
And it wasn't him by himself either. Last I know, have they ever caught his partners?
Nope, but he's looking at 30 years.
Yeah, he's looking at 30 years, but he's not trying. Apparently, he's not ratting out on his partners. Idiot.
Yeah. 30 years. That's going to be the rest of his life.
Probably. He looks to be in his 40s, 50s. Very, very probable. Very probably.
But he's dumb enough to park the tractor in his front yard, so he can't feel that for him.
That's true. He was dumb enough to park my big ass tractor in his front yard.
Yeah, like freaking ridiculous, you know. Regardless of my moral thoughts on various crimes, if you're going to be so effing stupid to actually park the evidence in front of your house, you deserve everything that happens to you.
Yeah, it wasn't just my tractor either. It was also my trailer, my 10 by 12.
I mean, honestly,
trailer.
that's monumentally stupid at this point.
And I'm very glad he was monumental.
Oh,
stupid.
right, no, totally. Totally.
And I'm glad the police officer driving by said, wait, that tractor fits the description. Let me stop. Went all downhill for that guy from there. And get this, I probably won't have my tractor back for at least 3 years. However long it takes him to actually finish the case and convict this guy is how long I don't get to have my tractor.
You don't get your tractor back. And at that point, you probably replaced your bloody tractor. You don't want it back.
Probably.
And they've also, even the gemstones they recovered.
Yeah, and they have recovered some of our gemstones, and they're keeping those too. Yeah, they're mainly the quartz collection we have, so that's not as valuable. You know, there's only, I think, like the most valuable one in there was, they took the shelf one, right? The one that was a full shelf. We had a full shelf that was a whole bunch of nice, clean quartz crystals. And by clean, I mean they weren't white, they were glass. That we got ourselves mining in Arkansas at a open pit mine they have in Arkansas where you can pay to dig. Well, this is a piece we got out of there.
You mined yourself. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There's sites like that all across the country. I mean,
Yeah, we've mined for ruby. We've mined for.
yeah, we've mined for pretty much named a gemstone, and we've mined for somewhere here in the United States.
You two are fascinating people. You really are.
What
Yeah, so we mined for our own gemstones. Like, wait, what? Like, rewind.
Well, there's pay sites. Anybody can go to them. They're pay sites. You pay like $20, $30 per bucket you mine. And, you know, whatever you find is yours. They ask that you give them first, you know, chance to buy whatever good stuff you find.
Okay.
What was those fossils we mined up in Utah?
Those are trilobites, maybe?
Yeah, do you remember which type of trilobites?
There was at least 3 different species.
Yeah, there's an area you can go and you pay to mine. You mine literally trilobite fossils, and in Utah, and we got what 50, 60 fossils out of that.
Yeah.
And the guy who owned it is like, "You guys have only been here 3 hours." It's like, yeah, nobody gets that many in 3 hours. They spend days getting that many. It's like, well, we know how to mine.
You did black opal in northern Nevada.
Yeah, there's an area in northern Nevada you can go and mine black opal in northern Nevada.
Arkansas, you can mine diamonds.
Arkansas, you can not only can you do quartz, you can also do diamond. I think they even have a sapphire place there too.
Yeah, but mainly the sapphires are in.
You're better off in the Carolinas to go to those places for sapphire and ruby and emerald.
So what separates you two from the crowd for mining?
Experience, I guess. You know, we know how to follow the right seams.
Well, also, we know where to follow alluvial flows, where water is already.
Yeah, follow alluvial flows. You know, we use our knowledge. We look at the landscape and we go, okay, the water flowed this way, that way. There's seams going in this direction. You know, we just make our best guess, and our best guess is, and our best guesses generally pay off.
Like, tell them about the fire agate.
Oh yeah, we went to a place here in Arizona. I was thinking I was back in Arizona again. Place outside of Safford, Arizona. That's in eastern Arizona, north of I-40. If you come in from Texas or New Mexico, that has fire agate, and the vast majority,
For free, you can walk in there.
For free. It's federally owned parkland, so you can go in there anytime you want. We went up there with a local club, nowhere near like the club I used to be president of, but anyway. So a bunch of diehard rock lovers, and they were just getting all the white, cloudy, non-fire agate, just plain white agate, and they're digging holes to look for it. So my wife goes over to a ditch, and she's like, this is a ditch, this is runoff. Water carries who knows how much here, right? So she starts digging in the ditch, and she gets like several pounds of very good color fire agate. And so at the end of the day, we all gather together, and they're all showing all these, nice, clear white pieces of agate. And then my wife dumps out this, 6-7 pounds worth of super fire agate with greens and reds and blues. And everybody's like, where did you find those? Because nobody else, there's like 30 people there. And out of the 30 people, my wife was the only one that found any fire agate, let alone 6-7 pounds of it. And it's because she followed the water flow.
She followed the water flow. That's
She
awesome.
followed the ditch. Yeah. So she dug through the ditch. And apparently she was the only one who did that.
It's like, it's rainy season.
Yeah. Yeah, there'd just been a big monsoon the weekend before. So she's like, I'm going to the ditch. And sure enough.
I did that with the turquoise we mined in Dragoon, too.
Yeah. Yeah, we went, same club, mostly the same people. We went turquoise digging in an area called Dragoon. And we found a lot of good turquoise. Me and my wife, we went off. We found some other good stuff too. And we come back and everybody else found turquoise, but they all found the brittle stuff that broke easily in your fingers. Whereas we found the stuff that had a lot of quartz embedded, so it was very firm and stable.
Yeah, because it's just compressed talc unless it invades quartz.
Yeah, it's just compressed talc unless it invades quartz. So we found the stuff that actually invaded the quartz and had the solidity of quartz behind it. And they just found pretty much turquoise talc with a much lower amount of quartz embedded in it.
Which is why they have to infuse it black.
Yeah, so we found the high grade stuff and they didn't. And they were like, where was that at? And we're like, we're not telling you because there's more there for us to dig.
Oh, really? Nice.
And we did. We came back, 2-3 times when we went back? Yeah. So then we later on sold it to this guy from New Mexico outside of Albuquerque. What town did he live up? We went up to that town. What town did he live in? A resort town we went to?
It's a Alpine?
Was- No, I thought it was a more well-known resort area.
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't Lake Tahoe? It was close to Lake Tahoe.
It was close, but it was.
It was close to Lake Tahoe. I think it was like half hours outside Lake Tahoe.
Tahoe's in Colorado.
Oh, Tahoe's Colorado?
You're thinking of Taos.
Taos?
Taos.
Oh, okay. Anyway, beautiful area. But anyway, he was an artist. He's an artist from up in that area. And
He
he,
actually made necklaces that looked Egyptian.
yeah, you actually make necklaces that look Egyptian. Fit really well on your necropolis map. Let's see if I can find some of his images. Show them to Lisa. Anyway, he came down to our house there in Arizona and bought 1,000 grams.
We bought it a kilo.
A kilo, so that'd be 2,000 and some grams.
No, a kilo is 1,000 grams, and we did $8,000.
Okay, yeah. So 1,000 grams, a kilo. So we made $1,000 off of that trip, one trip.
Oh, it was a free trip.
Yeah, and Dragoon's like from my house out there. Dragoon's like less than a 45-minute drive from my house.
It's public lands again. You're allowed to mine it.
And again, it's public land. How much a day are we allowed to
20
take?
pounds per person.
20 pounds per person per day off of public lands you're allowed to do. This one place, this one guy, he found a stream. He never told me where it was, but he found some awesome topaz.
We had a bucket.
He had a bucket, a 5-gallon bucket, like halfway full of topaz crystals. What color range was it? They weren't the blues.
They were
They were the Imperials, weren't they?
no. They were too brown.
They're too brown for the Imperials. Okay.
Yeah, they would need to have been cooked
Yeah.
to be valuable.
Yeah, we probably would have had to heat treat them to get them to blue, but they were big crystals too. I'm talking like walnut size crystals of topaz.
Most of them were pebbles.
Yeah, but you had walnut sized ones.
Yeah.
You had some big crystals in there. You know,
Yeah,
good looking
mountains
crystals.
behind your house.
Yeah, and they're you got them in the stream in the mountains near our house, but you know, the mountains are big. So, and he never let us know where the stream bed was.
In our house, we found silver and we found malachite in our pasture.
Yeah. I don't know if you hear my wife, but in our pasture, we got 22 acres out there.
Now
And we're in an old,
18.
no, now it's 18, that's right. So anyhow, it's an old riverbed. It used to be a riverbed millions of years ago. So we find silver and gold and malachite in our yard, on our property. Yeah.
Wow.
We found this one big rock. It was black. Didn't know what it was at first. It was easily a 20, 30 pound rock. 30 pounds? 20 pounds?
Yeah, and it was a mixture of silver and iron ore.
Yeah, and we come to find out it had a very high silver content to it. So if we melted it down, you know, put it through the process, we probably would have got, what they estimate? 4 ounces.
Yeah.
About
So
4
it's-
ounces of pure silver out of it.
So we left it as ore, and it's now a yard decoration.
It's still there in our yard. We could still smelt it down if we wanted to.
Now, do you do any of your own smelting?
No, I don't have the means. No, I don't want to mess with those temperatures. We did cook our own gemstones, though, for color change purposes.
Yeah, we did have it killed in the back.
Yeah, we had to kill them for heating the gemstones to get like topaz typically doesn't come as blue. You have to heat it
Or you irradiate it.
or irradiate it. So we cooked topaz to turn it blue.
He treated some sapphires that were undesirable colors to desirable colors.
Yeah, we also did some sapphires, turned them into more desirable colors.
They were brownish. We heat treated them and they went greenish.
Yeah.
But
We never did tanzanite, though. We never did tanzanite.
Yeah, because tell them about what tanzanite is. Tanzanite is just zoisite that's been heated. Zoisite is one of the most common semi-precious stones out there.
Yeah, tanzanite's another gemstone to watch out for. Tanzanite, all tanzanite is color change zoisite.
But no, not color change, heated zoisite.
And by color change, I don't mean it changes color on its own. You heat it and it turns that blue that they sell you.
Okay.
That purplish blue. That's only because they took zoisite and heated it. That's the only reason it's blue.
It's the mine in Tanzania, it was naturally heated by a volcano, which is how they knew it could turn that color.
Yeah. Yeah, the reason it's called tanzanite is because it's originally found blue in Tanzania. But the reason the zoisite there was blue is because it was near a volcano that heated it enough to turn it blue. So that's the only naturally occurring, quote unquote, naturally occurring zoisite you're going to see is blue, is because it's close to a heat source like that.
Okay. Okay.
But find zoisite in Iceland, it's pink. That pink tanzanite is not pink tanzanite, it's zoisite.
Yeah.
It's zoisite.
It's just marketing. It's marketing. It's a very common stone. They can take zoisite from anywhere in the world and heat it, and they'll turn that bluish purple that everybody loves.
It's almost
they
a
charge
con job.
It is. It is very much a con job, just like diamonds are.
Just like, the fucking apatite crystals that are beautiful blue. They're just heated brown apatite.
Yeah, which is what's this, calcium, right?
Yeah, it's the same calcium that's in your bones.
Yeah.
I always told kids you are made of beautiful stuff, see?
Yeah. If you want actual gemstones that are rare, look for spinels. Those are actually rare in comparison to like diamonds and stuff.
Well, just like you, I'll start digging around in the back of my garden then.
Well, what state are you in again?
Oregon.
Oregon. I don't know much about Oregon. I can look it up though and see if it might be worth digging in your yard.
Just go to mindat.org.
Mindat.org. Yeah.
Mine dat?
Yeah, DAT.
It probably
.org.
stands for data, but I'm thinking about mine dat, yo.
Yeah, it's a database. It stands for
Okay.
minddatabase.com, or .org, but it's mindat.org.
Well, here's a
Okay.
curious question on rarity. Have we mined most of it out, or is there just too much to mine out for all these resources or gemstones and precious metals?
Depends on which one you're talking about. As far as I know, none of them are actually getting rare yet.
So there's still plenty for all, essentially. Just got to go out and get it. Interesting.
Are very rare. They are the rarest stones on the planet.
And as far as the actual rare stones on the planet, if you come across them, is a garnet that color changes to blue.
It's blue, the color
Or,
changes,
excuse me, it's blue to color changes to purple
or pink.
or pink. If you come across one of those are actually one of the rarest stones in the world. You still have that one in the ring?
That's the one that the person in Monterey sold.
That's the one in person in Monterey still? Okay.
But what's important about mindat.org is you can find out mines that the certification has lapsed when you go through their mine run.
Yeah, so anyway, that mindat.org, look that up and see if you got any sites by you that are no longer kept up, their permits are no longer kept up, they lapsed, and you can go to those mines. I don't recommend going into actual mines if they actually got pits or whatever, but look for where they did their cast-offs. We call them mine runs. So look out for their cast-off pile and dig through those, and you'll be amazed at what you can find in those.
Tell them about how the rare earths are the cast off in the Arizona mines, and how frickin' aquamarine was the cast offs in the mica mines.
Yeah, like there's a mica mines in Arizona.
No, South Carolina and North Carolina.
Oh, what was it? What was the ones we did in Arizona?
That's the ones that had molybdenum and the black gold that they now need for cell phones.
Yeah, like molybdenum, which they need for cell phones now. There's cast off. There's tons of it, literally tons of it in the cast off piles in Arizona that we can go to and get it and then go and sell the molybdenum to the people who need it.
But most of the molybdenum processes are in China.
Unfortunately, most of the processes are in China, so we can't get good prices here because they have to ship it to China to get it processed. It's crazy.
Fascinating. Well, I have just literally brought up mindat.org.
Yeah,
Ton of data. Isn't it amazing how much?
Yeah, that's actually really cool. Wow, there's even some locations near Portland itself. That's nuts.
Yeah, see if they're what's the paperwork? Their lease, their mining lease. See if their mining lease is up to date, and if it's expired, you can go there. They don't have legal control of it anymore. They might want to tell you they do. Is well, according to mindat.org, you're out of date, so you have no authority. Go away.
Interesting.
You've gotten such fantastic stuff.
I've gotten awesome stuff out of mine runs. I've gotten tens of thousands of dollars of material out of mine runs. And all
That's
you didn't need
nuts.
mine runs is a shovel and maybe a rake of some type to just move everything. I've gotten gorgeous pieces of azurite, malachite, all kinds of stuff.
Okay, I'm gonna have to dig into that a little bit more. That's a lot of information over there. We actually ran a little bit long. This was such fun. And I don't know if you saw this, Trebor, but I did a proof of concept for what the coal ring would also look like with the shadow of the awnings.
Yeah, that's looking very promising. Yeah,
I think that's going in the right direction right there.
I agree.
We'll get the flagpole shadows in there. We'll get the ropes in there. Obviously, the rest of it will be coloured in. But I think that is a good starter for 10.
I think they have nephrite in Oregon.
I think they do have enough right where. Yeah.
Better than the washing up stuff on Monterey.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, you might want to look for nephrite in your area. It's a type of jade.
Okay.
It's the proper jade.
It's proper jade, actually.
Yeah.
It's the ideal jade.
Yeah, because there's two different types of jade recognized. One is not really jade. That's serpentine.
Yeah, serpentine. Yeah.
But
Which is what that Chinese sword I told you about was made out of. So it was actually made out of serpentine.
right.
All
But
right.
then there's nephrite, which the imperial jade is worth $1,000 a carat, and they have folders.
Yeah, should I tell her about the piece we found on the coast of California?
The one we still have here,
That one? Yeah, I got a chunk. I don't know if you can see my hands.
but it wasn't imperial.
It wasn't imperial grade, but it's jade. It's about this big. We found it walking the beaches of California.